thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Over the last 5-6 years, we have seen the smartwatches, the step counting shoes, and wearables, going really mainstream. How does a brand like yours communicate?
Yeah, I see them as a little different. There are technologies that can enhance our lives, and then there are wearables that can sometimes quantify your life. I think that is an industry that has been amazing, and it put a range of technologies that needed to exist on the map. Then there are brands, and there are brands that have brand messages and purposes, and I think that has to almost come first, is what does the brand stand for, and how does that change their customer's life? If and when they are looking to collaborate with interesting technologies, there is a plethora of amazing tech companies, whether it's ours or whether it's someone else's, that come in and think about it from a brand's perspective. I think it's really important not to build technology for tech's sake. And I see so much of that out there, which is like, cool, let's do a campaign and add some technology. I don't actually think that's the answer. I think the answer is always, let's make the customers' lives better. And if that means adding technology, then that's the right decision.
All right. So essentially these are everyday products, that have been repurposed. So how does your brand differentiate and position yourself such that even the consumers have a clear understanding of how to categorize the brand?
Yeah, so we put wearable in our name because we want people to know that these products are enchanted, they have technology, it is part of that category, but it's also beyond that. That's why our name is Wearable X. It's about looking into the future, it's about seeing what's possible. And we've been experimenting, and we have worked with brands, and collaboration is very, very core to our company, and it is our currency even. Yeah. That being said, for us, when we communicate to a customer, we want to make their life more convenient. We want to make it more confident, and we want to make them feel better. And that to me it's the main purpose of building anything. So that's how we differentiate ourselves when we're talking to a customer, is this technology will make your life better.
Right, but you're also part of an entirely new industry, and it's an entirely new category, and there's a huge amount of risk in that. According to you, do you think brands are taking enough risk?
I'm seeing some brands take some risks, and I am the serial optimist. I really choose to believe in the positivity that these companies want to believe in what's possible. And companies like Tommy Hilfiger has done an excellent job of that. Even Ralph Lauren experimented with the space. What I am seeing them not do well is they don't know how to retail a smart product. And that is because their background is retailing what I like to call dumb products. Of course, that's a little brutal, but I think that they're really good at selling clothing as it is. What they do need to figure out is how to delight that entire retail experience, both online and offline, to sell that and do a really good job of it, because these products do have beautiful powers that should be expressed.
How do you see this industry shaping up in the next 5-10 years? And how do you plan to deal with competition? Say if a bigger brand like Apple decides to make wearables, in the near future, how do you stand out?
I actually love this question. Purely because Apple actually came out in TechCrunch last year and confessed they cannot quantify yoga. And it was less of a confession and more like, this is something that we can't do from one single data point on the body, which makes what I do very unique, because we can, and because we have 5 different accelerometers built into the product. That means we can understand your body orientation. We've also done a range of, I would say, studies as well as tests. We've custom built our own testing jigs, which of course those big companies can do. What they will take time, and what will genuinely suck up their time while I accelerate, is they haven't collected the data, they haven't made it washable, and they've never made any products tumble dryable before. I specialize in that because that's what we do. Those products that they've built, and no doubt, they're some of the best in the world. I think they'll be smart enough to know they're better off collaborating with us than they are eating us.
Right. This brings me to my next question. I was looking through your website, and I really loved what you have, on offer, because I really think you have managed to sort of crack the code to deliver something that's both functional and fashionable. So, how important do you think it is for brands to focus on the aesthetics? Does it impact the consumers?
100%. I believe that aesthetics are everything to a brand. And it's not just the way you communicate with them, but it's also the first interaction that someone has with your brand. unless, you know, they are eyes shut and feeling their way around the product, that is really going to be how you communicate. There's no other language as important, I would almost say, except for the product being equally as good. There is this beautiful saying that says, you know, if the product's good, you actually don't need to market it. And it's also true. It spreads through word of mouth. And I think that the product being good makes someone feel confident. And if someone feels confident, they tend to have the lines, the shapes, the proportions, the tones, the colors, the textures down pat.
One last question, since you are a creative professional and your work is largely based on creativity and innovation, what inspires you? What gets you going? You know, and is there a method you follow? Is there a process?
I'm mostly inspired by other people, and I definitely read a lot of books. At one time, I used to describe it as going to bed with dead people because they're authors that have often passed away. I know, a bit creepy. So for me, definitely start with like the internal. So take some time for yourself, check in with yourself, what's going on. Look outward and see how other people have dealt with similar things, and then talk to people. I'm definitely not about keeping all of your ideas to yourself. I actually think you get the most amazing feedback when you share, and I think that helps you build some of the best products in the world. And I'm really inspired by other designers. You know, other designers like Philippe Starck, who are absurd and hilarious, but have a sense of humor when they design, and that to me makes all the difference.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.